All right, y'all, we are back with another video. I definitely had to bring y'all this, and it's still not looking good for Ilhan Omar. A lot of people is now confronting her to her face, talking about, her marrying her brother, but she don't want to talk about that. She'll talk about going after President Trump, how she just said the other day that I'm gonna live a lot longer than President Trump because I'm half his age. I mean, it's just these type of comments that she'll continue to say. But then as soon as somebody bring up you marrying your brother, she don't want to talk about it. Oh, everybody is lying. President Trump is a liar. But even more news is coming out, and Ilhan Omar is finished. And not only that, Tampon Tim Walz is in a whole lot of trouble as well, because we know that him and Ilhan Omar was in on this scam going on in Minnesota, and that's the reason why Ilhan Omar love Minnesota. That's the reason why the Somalis love Minnesota, because they got a Democrat governor, Democrat mayor, and they've been allowing this fraud to get all the way up to $8 billion over a course of 3 years. Is the reason why Ilhan Omar net worth is now a whopping $30 million. So like I said, y'all please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Shout out to everybody showing so much support. And shout out to the ones that always watches the entire video and always let me know in the comment section under this video that you did stay to the end. I try my best to keep y'all up to date with everything that's going on. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive straight into this, because even President Trump has some things to say. But before we get to President Trump, check this out by CC. It's a breaking. Representative Ilhan Omar had her birth year changed on Minnesota's official legislative website to say she was born in 1982, not 1981, according to Alpha News. If Omar was born in 1981, she likely would have not been eligible to become a U.S. citizen through her father's naturalization, and would have had to go through the process on her own. So this is the face of fraud. And you can see it's a breaking news. Breaking. This got 3.3 million views. And that's the reason why she's panicking right now. This is what's going on. This right here is a face of a liar. This is a face of a liar. So let's move on to this right here. And this is something that President Trump had said last night in front of the whole nation. Said breaking in front of tens of millions of Americans, President Trump calls out Somali fraudsters who are stealing taxpayer dollars in Minnesota. Let's check out what President Trump had to say.
American-born citizens, 100%. In the end, government either serves the productive, patriotic, hardworking American citizen, or it serves those who break the laws, cheat the system, and seek power and profit at the expense of our nation. Look at Minnesota, where Somalians have taken over the economics of the state and have stolen billions and billions of dollars from Minnesota and indeed from the United States of America. And we're going to put an end to it. For so long as before my election, the vast majority of good and decent Americans were forced to watch as corrupt politicians plundered the halls of power. American-born citizens, 100%.
Wow. Just the fraud that's going on in Minnesota. And like I said, President Trump is tired of it. He is tired of it. And then Eric Daughter said, one of my favorite moments from President Trump tonight, he is so spot on about what they did to us. And, he pretty much talking about the United States was ruled by politicians who fought only for insiders, illegal aliens, career criminals, corporate lobbyists, prisoners, terrorists, and above all, foreign nations, which took advantage of us at levels never seen before.
I think most would agree. I was elected in a landslide, winning the popular vote and all 7 swing states and everything else, with a mandate to take on a sick and corrupt system that really just took the wealth from people and crushed the dreams of the American people. For the last 4 years, the United States was ruled by politicians who fought only for insiders, illegal aliens, career criminals, corporate lobbyists, prisoners, terrorists, and above all, foreign nations, which took advantage of us at levels never seen before. They flooded your cities and towns with illegal aliens. They decimated your hard-earned savings. They indoctrinated your children with hate for America, released, really, I mean, they just released a level of violent felons that we had never seen to prey on innocent. They caused war, they caused mayhem, they caused a horrible situation all over the globe. But now you have a president who fights for the law-abiding, hardworking people of our country, the ones who make this nation run, who make this nation work.
Wow. Salute to President Trump. And these the Democrats that keep trying to put this man down. Oh, Donald Trump ain't doing this. Donald Trump ain't standing on his promises. That's a lie. This man delivered on every promise he made. Every promise this man made, he delivered on it. But yet, Democrats will get on TV. Donald Trump lied. He ain't delivered on this. He ain't delivered on this. Last time I checked, it ain't been an illegal alien that came across the border in over 8 months. In over 8 months, not one illegal alien has crossed the border under President Trump's watch. So, and I want to show y'all this because as Tim Walz got caught up in his fraud, you know what Tim Walz tried to do? He said that the majority of the crime is committed by white men. That is something that Ilhan Omar said as well, pretty much blaming white men, said white men is the cause for the most death in this country and stuff like this. So I don't know if Tim Walz heard Ilhan Omar say that, and I'll show y'all the clip in just a second of Ilhan Omar pretty much saying the same thing, that white men is the problem, that we should be worried about white men. And come to find out, Tim Walz said the same thing after finding out that Somalis has been stealing up to $8 billion in the course of over 4 years after Tim Walz was confronted by over 400 employees that told him the fraud was going on, and he told them to shut up. He told them to keep quiet. Don't open your mouth. Keep this a secret. And now that he got caught. Now listen to him spin this out and blame this on white men. We should be worried about white men.
Members and leaders from the Somali community to say, we need to look at ourselves. We need to hold our own neighbors accountable because look at the damage that this has done to our community. What do you want to hear more from instead of just saying, don't blame us? Do you want to see more ownership and oversight from within this?
Look, it's not law-abiding citizens. If that were the case, there's a lot of white men should be holding a lot of white men accountable for the crimes that they have committed. I think
this man said white men. They asked him a question about what's going on, and he bring up white men. Listen to
law-abiding citizens. If that were the case, there's a lot of white men should be holding a lot of white men accountable for the crimes that they have committed. I think for the community to maybe educate their population, because I think what you're seeing here is there's secondary victims in this, that there's providers inside the community that are then victimizing the community themselves by signing them up, because when we're going to some of these people, they're like, I had no idea I was in this program. So I think it's asking us then, for every crime, which of course the majority being committed by white men, asking us to do more about that. I think it's crime in general.
Oh my God.
And I think the biggest thing on this is just making sure that we're educating the population. And again, this is 80 people or so that have been convicted in this, maybe some more in that.
Tim Walz is man, no wonder President Trump called this man a retard. So out of all of that, what do? We should worry about white men. White men is the one that causing the most crime. That's what we need to be worried about. Just insane. So we get over here to Chicago, Ray. He said this is the video that triggered Ilhan Omar. Because like I said before, Ilhan Omar and Tim Walz in some deep, deep trouble. And I want y'all to check this out. So AJ Kern just spoke with Liz Collins, and she found that Ilhan Omar was actually 18 the year that her father became eligible, not 17. This is a derivation of citizenship.
Oh, AJ, having run.
Good to see you, Liz, and thank you for providing the opportunity for me today.
President Trump has been calling Congresswoman Ilhan Omar into question recently, and White House border czar Tom Homan has confirmed there is an open investigation concerning her immigration status. You're no stranger to politics, I know, AJ, having run for Congress yourself, but you have been raising red flags about Omar for years now. I know there's a bit of a backstory here, but walk us through what you've uncovered.
Right. Well, in 2019, I was looking at something about Ilhan Omar on the internet, and it occurred to me to look at her birth year. I don't know why. Or birth date. And so I used an age calculator and found out that she was actually 18 in the year 2000 when her father became eligible to apply for citizenship. She claimed that she became a citizen at the age of 17. So when I realized she wasn't actually 17, I created a video explaining derivation of citizenship and how that works. So to me, this was like completely a red flag.
Yep.
That I had figured out that she actually wasn't a minor when her father could apply for naturalization. So,
wow. So she was 18 years old and lied and said that she was 17 so she can use her father to get in. So she didn't have to do it herself. So that's what I told y'all. It's like every day more stuff is coming out about Ilhan Omar, and we see the reason why she's acting the way she's acting. Even on her post right here, Chicago Ray say this is Omar's post from last night. The immigration walls are closing in on Omar. Tom Homan is in on it. Let's go. And you can see Ilhan Omar right here texting says, seriously, how many more lies can you all make up and still whip yourselves into frenzy asking for a friend? So pretty much she's still calling everybody a liar, everybody just lying on her. This is what she's still running with. But like I said, at the end of the day, nobody is a fool. And not even that, even Tucker Carlson pretty much called it out and said Ilhan Omar is not serving the American people. And of course she not. She said plenty of time that she got her position to help her people, the Somalians. She's said that plenty of time. I done showed y'all them videos plenty of time. But I want y'all to listen to, Tucker Carlson, say something about this. Of course, I had to speed up the audio a little bit because Tucker Carlson got like some music or something playing in the back. I don't want to get copyrighted, so I had to speed up the clip a little bit so I don't get copyrighted because he's playing some type of music.
Ilhan Omar, who is famous as one of the dumbest, of course, members of Congress, she hates whites, and she just says that.
Our country should be more fearful of white men across our country because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country.
So she said white men are causing the most death, and like I said before, you just heard Tim Walz said the same thing. So in case y'all didn't hear it, listen to her say that white men is the one causing more death, and then now you hear Tim Walz saying we should be worried about white men, not Somalians. Check it out.
Ilhan Omar, who is famous as one of the dumbest, of course, members of Congress, she hates whites, and she just says that.
Our country should be more fearful of white men across our country because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country.
You move to white country and immediately start attacking white people. How does that work exactly? I don't know, but we tolerate it, we celebrate it. And of course, she's not even here legally. She got here on visa fraud because she married her brother. Kind of been proven. So she's an illegal alien somehow serving in the United States Congress. How'd she get elected? Well, because there was critical mass of her fellow Somalis in her congressional district, so she got elected. But that's not the worst of it. The worst of it is, as she serves the United States Congress, as she serves the American people, she's actually serving her real people, which are the Somali people, and she says so out loud. She was talking about the president of Somalia, our president, our leader, our guy who runs our country, which is not the United States. No, you can't say that. You can't say that. That's totally out of bounds. That's not how we do things here. We don't have a tribal system. We don't want one. Yes, obviously we're getting one, but we're going to push back against it as long as we can because we want the country to hang together because we like it and our ancestors built it. So you cannot refer to a foreign country as my country. And no, you can't serve in that country's military. You can't have dual citizenship with that country. Probably shouldn't speak their language in public. And no, we're not putting your language on our ballots. This is the United States. You moved here because it was an Anglo country. All these institutions were built on the Anglo model. And if you hate that, don't live here. That's totally fair. It's the opposite of bigoted.
So salute to Tucker Carlson, and you hear exactly what he said. Like, she don't care. She using her position to help Somalis. Of course, now she's using her position in Minnesota and helped out with this fraud, is what everybody is saying. It's the reason why now, she came in worth, negative $64,000, and now she worth over $30 million. It's like, where did that money come from? We know where it came from because we just found out all this fraud that's going on in Minnesota. Now, like I said, Tim Walz is panicking. Ilhan Omar is panicking. If you say breaking, Tim Walz is panic now that the FBI has just raided a Somali health services building after billions in Medicaid fraud was exposed. So now y'all can see that the FBI just raided a Somali health services building after billions in Medicaid fraud was exposed. It's only getting worse in Minnesota. Tim Walz and Minnesota Democrats are to blame. Resign. And you can see right here, that they going in there getting stuff out of there. And they're going to find out exactly what's been going on. You see, they came out of there with a good bit of stuff too, a good bit of boxes and stuff. They ain't playing around. That's the reason why I said before, Tim Walz and, Ilhan Omar is panicking right now. They spiraling out of control. You never know where they're going to show up to. Look at that. Got another bag. Tax services in Minnesota. Tell you, not playing around. Not playing around at all. Then they say, holy crap, the U.S. attorney just revealed as much as $9 billion in Medicaid fraud out of Minnesota as Somalis and fraudsters ravaged taxpayers' pockets. Tim Walz is to blame. And then, of course, like I said, y'all just seen the FBI just pretty much raided, a building that Ilhan Omar did not want them to do. And I've seen it all on the internet as well. She was upset. She was losing her mind. They said behind closed doors she was losing her mind after the FBI just raided the Medicaid services building. She was losing her mind. Why? Because she don't want to be exposed.
I spoke in the fall about the iceberg I saw ahead. Something's fraud that's much larger than what's been visible to the public. When I said that, it wasn't hyperbole or rhetoric, it was a warning. And today I want to talk and I want to show here a sense of what that iceberg looks like, because I think people deserve to know what that is and how big this problem is, because we can't solve the problem until we grapple with the size of it. So the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services pulled the claims data for these 14 programs dating back to 2018. And those 14 programs in Minnesota have cost $18 billion since 2018, and more than $3.5 billion in 2024 alone. So that's a sense of the magnitude of the problem. These are the 14 Medicaid programs, which is just a part of Medicaid, these waivered services that have been flagged as having issues with program integrity and fraud. Now, I'm sure everyone is wondering how much of this $18 billion was fraud. It's not the $1 million question, that's the $18 billion question.
Mm-hmm.
The answer is far too much, and the task ahead of all of us is not only figuring out how much of that money was fraud, because we know a significant amount was, but figuring out how to put an end to the fraud in our state and get control of it. So let me end with this before I take questions. The magnitude of the fraud in Minnesota cannot be overstated.
Nope.
It's staggering amounts of money that have been lost. But it's not just about the money that's been stolen and wasted. This is a problem that's caused all of us to question what kind of state we live in. I think it's eroded our sense of collective statewide self-esteem and confidence. It's caused a state, as I've said before, that has long taken pride in having a strong economy, good schools, beautiful lakes, many parks, and a sense of community spirit and civic mindedness. This fraud really calls into question all of that. And I know that it's gone on, it's been allowed to go on far too long. And we need to do whatever we can to stop it in its tracks.
Exactly, because like I said, it's been going on the last 3 or 4 years, and Tim Walz did nothing about it. Did absolutely nothing about it. And now that he's forced to talk about it because President Trump done brought it to light. So like I said before, when y'all hear Ilhan Omar say, I love it in Minnesota, the Somalis love it in Minnesota, you know why they love it in Minnesota, because they've been able to get away with all of this fraud that's been going on the last 3 and 4 years. That's why they love it there, because like I said, it ain't no Republican mayor. It ain't no Republican governor there. You got 2 Democrats. You got 3. You got Ilhan Omar there. Then you got, like I said, Tim Walz. He's the governor. He's a Democrat. Then you got Jacob Frey, the mayor. He's a Democrat, and they all against Donald Trump. And they all putting money in their pocket. That's why they love it there, because they've been getting away with this for years, stealing from the taxpayers. And now that they got caught, just absolutely freaking insane.
Omar, the congresswoman from Minnesota, who's somehow worth more than $30 million after having a net worth of $65,000 just 3 years ago. Again, this is all public information, so how did she get all that money? How did she get all that money? And that other question, that other funny question, did she marry her brother, Ahmed Elmi, on February 12, 2009 in Eden Prairie, Minnesota? We've got the marriage certificate. She did this allegedly, reportedly, so he could get a green card. A man who divides his time between the UK and South Africa now and goes by the name Dirty Dandy on social media, and he is a dandy one. We think these are all reasonable questions to be asking, and joining us now to help us answer those questions, the most prominent Republican in the state of Minnesota, House Majority Whip and Minnesota Congressman Tom Emmer. Congressman, great to see you. I want to talk about the money first, if we could. Ilhan Omar founded this program called Feeding Our Families, which was then robbed by $250 million. 3 Somali refugees have been arrested so far. Suddenly, Ilhan's got a net worth of $30 million. Sir, do we think there could be a connection?
Oh, we better find out. And Rob, it's great to be with you. Let me just adjust a little bit of that. Ilhan Omar was instrumental, I understand, in creating the funds that were used for nutrition during the crisis known as the pandemic. There is a entity in Minnesota called Feeding Our Future that built that program out of $250 million. It was the single largest pandemic fraud case in the country. When you look, it's not just 3 people have been arrested. You've had 87 people charged in that fraud scheme, and it happens to be that 90% of them come from the Somali community in Minnesota. Did Ilhan know? I have no idea. Was Ilhan involved? I've got the same questions. How do you go from a net worth of $65,000 on a $172,000 annual salary, which, by the way, you got to pay for your health benefits, your housing, everything else? How do you go from that and suddenly have 26 to 30-some million dollars in just 3 years?
It makes no
sense. It doesn't stop there. You got to look at our governor. You got to look at our attorney general.
Yeah, I agree. It makes no sense. Look, Bernie Madoff didn't do that well in the stock market, and he was cheating. He was actually cheating the system, and his returns weren't that good. According to one report, this new CBS report, which I applaud CBS for doing this, Minnesota Somalian fraudsters went on a, quote, spending spree in which defendants, many of Somali descent, took taxpayer money meant to feed hungry children and used it to buy cars, property, and jewelry. Videos show them popping champagne at an opulent Maldives resort. In a text message, one defendant said, "You're going to be the richest 25-year-old, God willing." Congressman, how big a problem?
So, you see right here, I want to show y'all this at breaking. It has been revealed that there are clan wars going on among Somalis in Minnesota. Check this clip out, because like I said before, y'all seen that clip I showed y'all last week of the mayor, Jacob Frey, was in there eating some food that from a Somali restaurant, and you can see his face turning because he knew the food was nasty. Now, I've never tasted any food from Somalia or anything, so I don't know how they food tastes. Y'all can let me know that down below in the comment section. But whatever Jacob Frey was eating, it seemed like it was nasty because his face was turning, but he was acting like he liked it because he was on camera. But let's check out what this guy had to say about this.
That can run for president in Somalia. The other 2 can only run for Speaker of Parliament. And the 0.5, the minorities. Really? Yeah, citizens of Somalia, minorities, they cannot run for office as we speak, and it's a formula. Name any elected Somali official, and they are all in the Darod clan.
Ilhan Omar, she's that clan?
Yes, she's the Darod.
Is Ilhan Omar advantaged in getting Somali votes in Minnesota because she is Darod? Did I say it right? Because she's one of these 2 major clans.
Certainly, yep. Her clan predominantly lives in Minnesota.
Yep.
And
So like her clan like lives in Minnesota. There's a lot of Somalis in Minnesota, and then what they're going to do every time it's time for her to be reelected or them getting a chance to elect somebody else, they're not going to do it. They're going to elect her because she is Somalian, so they want to keep her in place, and that's the reason why she don't want to leave Minnesota. That's why she want to stay there because she knows she'll just keep getting reelected.
Minneapolis, St. Paul area. That's a fact.
Okay.
And there are other clans.
That's her clan.
Yep.
Okay, hold on. Minnesota is largely this clan. Is Omar Fatah the guy that ran for mayor in Minneapolis? Would he also be of the same clan as Ilhan Omar?
Yep. You remember when Minneapolis had a mayoral election? This was a few weeks ago. Jacob Fry was running against Omar Fatah. And the Somalis split up between clan lines. Because anybody, his clan, was basically campaigning for him, for Omar. And the other Somalis who were not in the Darod clan were campaigning for Jacob Fry. And it was very evident on all social media.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See that?
I guarantee Democrats know this. I guarantee Jacob Fry was playing to the other Somali clans.
Definitely did.
So there we go right there. Y'all let me know in the comment section, what y'all think about this. Thank you all for watching. Like I said, I will keep y'all up to date as more information comes out. But right now, man, it's looking bad for Ilhan Omar. Looking like she's going to be getting them deportation papers right now. And then you see President Trump lashing out. He's going off on these Somalis and stuff like that. And he just fed up with it. He just fed up. So like I said, thank you all for watching. And I'll catch y'all in the next one.